Okay. All right, guys, so I am about 10 seconds delayed. So if I ask you questions and then there's dead space, it's because I'm waiting for you guys to answer. So you guys can see here that, oh crap, I always forget I can't use my mouse on this. We have a ball. This is what we're going to be drawing from, all right? It's not ideal. It's just a ball that I found from the internet. And then I have down here on this little drawing the ball with all of the words that describe the sources of light that you are looking for in this drawing, all right? I got my little sketchbook piece of paper here, and hopefully we do not get cut out at all. If you guys ask me questions, it's going to be a little bit delayed before I answer you, because like I said, I think I'm about 10 seconds behind. So first off, to draw the ball, you can either just draw it, like, you know, round on the paper, or you can actually find an object if you want and then kind of like trace it. That way you actually have like a perfect circle. So that's up to you guys if you want to do that. I'm going to take my sock sachet thing and I'm actually going to, and I do want you guys to draw with me. I know this part might be a little hard, so what you guys might want to do is take the edge of your charcoal and draw a ball that way, all right? And then you can like smooth it out. But I do want you to see what you can do with this kind of like sachet thing. So I'm just kind of doing a really basic gray value for this. And I'm also going to just lightly put in the cast shadow too. That way we kind of just have like a generalized basis of our ball and our shadow. So if you are using your charcoal and you are doing it like this, you can leave it rough. You can smooth it out with your hand or with a rag of some type. It depends on what you guys have. So yeah, so that's the basic start. How are you guys doing with speed right now? I kind of just like map that all out really fast. You can see kind of what the sock sachet does. I can actually draw in a lot of values with this thing too. So I'm kind of waiting for some of you guys to answer me. Am I doing good on time? Can I just keep speeding along here? I'm going to. All right, so for this sachet, you can kind of like build up value a lot of times. I don't know if I can do it right now. Is it getting darker? I'm not going to do it right now, but I just want you guys to like see, well, I am doing it, but I'm not going to like keep it up. How it can like build on values. It doesn't really look like it's doing it on this specific paper. So I guess maybe it depends on the type of paper that you have. But I'm going to start, sorry, you saw my head for a second. I'm going to start in by putting in that core shadow. So if you look on the bottom, the core shadow is that big like triangular shaped shadow that's on the right hand side of our ball here. I'm going to kind of map that shadow in right now. I won't go too fast, Selena. So it's kind of like this little triangle shape. So when you're thinking about anything, when you're drawing, go back to the first lesson. Think of things like shapes, right? So this is the closest shape I can get to this, I think, is like a triangle, right? And I always like smooth things out. I just think it kind of like adds a little bit. So I got that nice little dark area in there. Now I'm also going to put in my occlusion shadow. So I'm kind of just mapping in some of these darker areas right now. And we are going to be kind of going back and forth a little bit. And I'm just using the side of my charcoal, right? I'm not really, can I get up there? Yeah, like this edge of the charcoal on the side. If you want to use a pencil, obviously it's going to be a lot cleaner. But I think when you use these big sticks of charcoal, you kind of get a little bit more speed and you don't like get too focused on like detail right away either. All right, so that's kind of a big occlusion shadow, but you get the point of it. All right, so now I'm going to take my kneaded eraser. My ball's not that round, but you can also fix that at the end too. How are you guys doing? You got your triangle in there for your core shadow and then your occlusion shadow. We're going to be going back and forth a lot, so. All right, so now I'm going to take my eraser, and I'm not going to go in hard with it. I'm just going to kind of start erasing out some of the light areas. And depending on the paper that you guys have, you might have to either press a little bit harder, or if you even just poke it, it's going to pick up a lot of your charcoal. This paper is kind of holding on to my charcoal right now. It's not really like letting it go, so I am going to be pressing a little bit harder, but depending on the paper you are working on, it will change. And I'm just going to be erasing out, not all the way to a white, not all the way to the whitest white we have, not to the highlight, but to a really light mid value. So I'm doing it on the edge of the ball, and I'm kind of going the whole way to the core shadow here. So I'm really mapping in like these big areas of light and dark. I do want you guys to post this in your student portfolios after we're done, if we get through it all. So I know that you're doing it. Now I'm kind of using less pressure. See how between the between the like the core shadow and the center light, there's like that half tone, and like in the area it kind of like shifts from like that dark gray to like a mid gray to the light gray. I'm not gonna press as hard now, and I'm gonna take out some of that core shadow that I drew in, just so it kind of like subtly makes a lighter mid value. Lighter than the core shadow, but darker than the center light and the halftone. All right, I'm getting so much charcoal dust. Let me blow it not towards my computer. All right. Okay, let me get rid of that. So I'm just keeping everything really light right now. I'm not like taking it like way too extreme to a light, because I don't want to have to, if I don't have to draw things back in as much, I don't want to. So now I'm going to erase out my reflective light at the bottom. So of the bottom right hand side of that ball, and it kind of like dips down to the left hand side, I'm going to start erasing out that reflective light. Oh, it's so weird drawing with the paper down like this. So the reflective light, again, is that light that is hitting the table that the ball's sitting on, and it's bouncing back up onto the ball. So it's really being reflected literally right back up onto that ball. All right, so right now we have a core shadow, we have the reflective light, and we kind of have like the halftone center light happening right here, but we don't have like I didn't really put too much difference in that yet. So we're going to go back in to the center light and start erasing just a little bit more out. And also I'm going to erase out a little bit more of the halftone, but I'm not going to press as extremely hard because I still want it to be darker than that center light. And actually just erase out like this whole center area, because that's going to be the lightest part where the highlight is anyways. I don't know why I'm leaving it so dark. Yeah, the kneaded eraser is like putty, Milo. Sorry. Oh, I can slow down. I'm sorry, guys. I'm forgetting to read the chat right now. I'm kind of just going to be going like a lot, like back and forth a lot. Where are you guys at right now in your drawings? Because I can repeat like steps anyways too. So this is the kneaded eraser. It's like putty. And this is the white eraser or the plastic eraser, Mars plastic eraser. I use the plastic eraser when I need to, like, say I'm gonna erase out the highlight or I need really white whites. That's when I use the plastic eraser, because it'll like get more, like, it has more pressure to apply to it, so it'll erase out more extreme whites. How Elena, you want your kneaded eraser to, like, you can break it apart, you can, like, form it in anything. You don't want to keep it in that square that it was in. Yeah, so for the kneaded eraser, it's going to end up looking just like a little squishy thing of gum, and you can, I don't know how it can be broke. You can make it into 2 small erasers. You can put it back together. Does that help you, Elena? Okay, so I'm going to start drawing again a little bit. I hope you guys are kind of on track with me a little bit. All right, so I'm going to erase out more light areas by the center light at the top here. And I'm also I'm erasing out, like, further into the ball than I allowed myself to do before. You have weirdly textured sketchbook paper. My sketchbook paper really doesn't want to, like, let go of this charcoal, like with this kneaded eraser. This is gonna get those lights out a lot easier. But I am going to erase just a little bit later, take it a little further into the ball. All right. Don't erase it the whole way to the core shadow, though. You do want that halftone to be in between. So I'm taking it a little bit later. I don't know if you'll have to do this step or not, depending on kind of how light you already took the ball to begin with. I have to keep looking up at the top at the video so I can see if you guys are actually seeing the whole thing clearly. So I'm using my plastic eraser just to get some more, like, really light areas out. All right, so I kind of have this big mess down here of this light gray, and I don't really want that in there. I kind of also want to direct my core shadow a little bit down more. So I'm going to kind of go in and just, like, fix the placement of my core shadow a little bit. And then I'm also going to erase out really lightly around this area. I don't want it to be as light as my reflective shadow. I kind of want it to be a little bit more subtle than that. And I might push some more. So this is when I'm going to take my sock sachet. Or if you take your, you know, you guys probably don't have this. I'll just use this. I'm going to push some more, like, darks next to my core shadow here, because I erased some areas out a little too much. Blend them up. So right now I'm kind of just going back and forth and, like, fixing specifically the area on the right side where, like, that core shadow kind of, like, lightens up a lot, because I kind of have it to go in the same value the whole way across, and it's, like, really flat right now. I don't know what this is. It's, like, stuck there. I'm pushing some more dark areas into this ball. And I kind of I draw, like, all over the place whenever I'm first drawing. Like, you want to work around your drawing. So whenever you are drawing, like, a whole picture, like, this might be where I leave the ball. Then I'd move to another object. Then I come back here later and add even more like details and stuff in. Not sure why okay, sorry. Had to check the chat for a second. All right, so I want to drop this white down even further. That's what I keep doing. I keep erasing down here so this shape kind of like drops a little bit more than what I have it. And I'm just doing it very lightly. If you want it to be like have that blended look, you want to make things a little bit lighter and then kind of keep like rubbing that out. But you don't really have to. You could do it completely not blended if you want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some background in so the white edge of this ball really kind of starts to pop out a little bit. So it kind of looks right now like a contour line. And right now it is a contour line, but I'm going to fill in the background with that dark value. That way it's the light value sitting next to the dark value. And I'm also fixing up the shape of my ball right now because it wasn't a perfect circle. So I'm actually kind of correcting how I misaligned my proportions to fix that, like how that fixed the circle. All right, so because the light edge of this ball is sitting next to this dark value, it erases the contour line and it just becomes the edge of the ball and the edge of the background. You can still see the line a lot in here right now. So we're going to use your hand or use a rag. I have my little sock sachet thing to kind of like get rid of that line. So it like blends in a little bit more with the background and it feels more like a background and less like a line. So I'm going to draw that again because I really want to get rid of that edge looking like an outline. And you can see that we're probably covering up some parts of our white in here, and that's fine. You can go back into it. All right. And I guess let's go. I'm going to take this down here, and I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. I'm not going to make it as dark as I did before, because we want the shadow to kind of appear darker than this background area. I might have to erase that out. So now this feels a lot lighter than what it was before. That is the relativity of the value happening in there. It also, I kind of fixed the shape of my ball a little bit more. All right, so let's keep drawing. Let's draw in more of our shadow right now. So we kind of already have the occlusion shadow. But we're probably going to have to draw that in again. Let's just draw the cast shadow in right now. And the cast shadow will be darker under the ball, and it will get lighter as it like fades out from the ball because it won't be as much in shadow anymore, all right? Because the darkest shadow is going to be directly under the ball, and then as it goes out away from the ball, it's going to get a lot lighter. And I might even fix the shape of my shadow that I just gestured in before. All right, I'm blending it out. Sorry. When I do charcoal drawings at my computer, it scares me. I'm having it go a little bit darker under the ball. I'm kind of blending out a little bit lighter on the outside. So if you squint at it, you should be able to see a subtle difference between these two values. And it's very, very, very subtle. All right, now I'm going to put my more emphasis again on my occlusion shadow. Kind of pay attention. It's really down here. That's the darkest dark in the ball. And the darkest dark in any object that's being hit by direct light. I kind of made this highlight on this edge right here by my core shadow. We don't want that in there. So I'm getting rid of that. I didn't mean to do that. All right, so it's starting to kind of look like a ball with form. I'm bringing more darks from the edge of this, from the edge of my core shadow, and it's getting lighter as it goes down here. So I'm just pushing in more dark areas of the shadow and letting it blend out. And then I'm kind of just using the dust on my fingers to push in more of my halftone, because there's more halftones all around. Like, they kind of come up around the top of the ball a little bit, right in here. And they kind of come up on the left side of the ball too, kind of like that. Yeah, the paper set. Yeah, I don't like this paper very much either. I got different. I mean, I'm sure mine's different than you, but it's just basic sketchbook paper. But I mean, you guys are just doing like a little ball study, so it's not a big deal as long as you start getting used to like seeing kind of some of those shifts in values. And I have to keep kind of looking up at my paper here. Like, see how these are getting stuck? Kind of weird. All right. I'm also going to kind of bring in some halftones around this a little bit. Okay, so now it's starting to kind of look like a ball. I feel like this is the area that I'm noticing I need to work on a lot. We can put our little highlight in there if I didn't erase too much out already. I think I did. So I might actually cover some of this back up. All right, so I kind of made it into a gray ball drawing again. And now I'm going to erase some back out, and then I'm going to take the highlight out. So it's really a lot of back and forth. And I agree, I don't like this paper, because I'm also just using sketchbook paper. I also don't like drawing from a picture, because I feel like I can't see as much. As if I was drawing from life. Alright, so I'm going to erase out my highlight. My highlight's kind of like almost fades in like that to the edge of the ball. In this drawing, it's not like so intense. If you were in person, that highlight would be way more like intense and noticeable. And actually all of these value shifts would be. Alright, so I'm going to erase out a little bit more of this reflective light here. And then I am going to erase out some more of this core shadow. I'm trying not to take it too extreme. Like I feel like I'm already doing. And the light kind of comes up around this area a little bit more. I'm kind of leaving a little bit more mark making now to kind of help dictate some of those directions. Like using some directional lines. I have a really crazy reflected shadow. It's too big. Because I actually really do like mark making in drawings. But sometimes it's easier to kind of like emphasize it a little bit more at the end, for me personally. Alright. Oh gosh, let me look. Yeah, this paper sucks. It does. I'm pressing with all my strength and it won't get white. Sam, are you trying to use the plastic eraser at all? It helps a little bit better. I got some of these whites in here, but I had to use this. Your eraser won't erase anything further on making a light value. My ball looks mad. My ball, to be honest, doesn't look that great either, guys. It's definitely not my best ball drawing out of all the times I've taught it. Alright, let's go back into the shadow a little bit. And then I think you guys kind of get the point of it. So we can end here soon. And I might even kind of erase out like this table plane a little bit more, like where the ball sits on the table. Because all these like little subtle things is really gonna help the overall like shape and appearance of the ball, just because of all the other values around it. I'm gonna put some marks in my shadow by erasing out some lights and kind of just less pressure as I go in. If you want it more blended, leave it blended. I kind of like that, like little, all the mark making happening in that area. Yeah, so I think like that's the general gist of it. We could keep going. I could probably just work on this ball for like ever. Overall, I made my core shadow a little, like it needs to be a little bit more dramatic. So I kind of messed up with my placement of the dramatic angle in the beginning. And I don't know, let's put some, like, play around with it and try and put some marks to create like those value shifts instead of blending out. Like just try a little bit of a different method of it. See what that does for you guys. Because I think it kind of makes things a little bit more interesting to look at in the end scheme of things. Do you guys like mark making, or do you prefer things to be a little bit more blended? What's your preference? Do you have one yet? I like when I use a pencil. Yeah, pencils are easier too. You can get more details, but I feel like if you were blocking everything in, you would probably want to do this first, and then that's when you could go back in with a pencil and start like fixing things. It's just going to be easier to do like a faster drawing in the long run. My side of my ball is a little weird too. Like it's still not as circular as I would like. Alright, so, I mean, that's the gist of it. You are going to be drawing in and out a lot. Drawing around the form. You see my little lopsided ball. It's not completely perfect. This cat shadow still has to come down a lot more and everything. But we got all the basic shapes there. It looks like a ball. It looks like a light is hitting it. We could go into it and fix a lot of areas. Play around with mark making. Am I drawing reverse? You know, like what happens if we kind of like push marks this way. Kind of put round marks in there. That that is whenever things start to get a lot more fun, I personally think. Especially whenever you kind of like are erasing out a lot more marks and then pushing in a little bit more marks with the charcoal. So that's the gist of it. Post your images in your student portfolio. Do you guys have any last minute questions or want me to go over anything else while we are in here? I feel like if I keep holding you, I'm just going to keep like making changes to this ball. So, because I'm like really annoyed at some things happening in here. So I'm excited to see how your drawings turned out. You're good? All right, so next class again, we're meeting for critique, and then you're going to have a work day on this value drawing, so you should have your thumbnails and your like still life set up by the next class and ready to roll, so you can like start and just jump into this drawing after you do the critique, okay? Post these in your student portfolio for me to see. I'm excited to see what they turned out to be like. I'm happy this stream worked for the most part, and we're not like lagging too much. So, all right, see you guys later. Have a good night.